Man, good to be together. First Sunday of the year. What a great turnout for our early service. Glad you guys are here. Welcome all those watching online as well as we kick off 21 days of prayer and fasting. You guys fired up for this? You geared up? You ready to go? You got your Instacart delivered? You got your Triscuits in the closet? It's gonna be great. I'm excited to see what God does. And over the next 3 weeks, together as a church family, we're doing three things together. We're reading God's word, we're praying for God's will, and we're fasting for breakthrough. We're spending the next 3 weeks getting ready for the next 12 months of what we're believing that God's gonna do in each of our families and together as a church. And so you should have gotten the first daily devotional sent to your phone this morning at 8 if you've signed up. By the way, we've had at last count 1,600 people sign up to do prayer and fasting with us. That's awesome. And should have got that first devotion sent to your phone. If you didn't get it and you want to, if you're not signed up, you've already heard instructions on how to do that. Just text 21 days and you'll get this daily devotion sent to your phone. We'll all be reading the same thing together. We're praying for God's will. We want to start the year seeking God for His will. We don't want to just walk in to another year doing what we think is right. We want to hear from God together as a church. And then we're doing the Daniel fast together, which comes from the Old Testament book of Daniel. It basically is fruits and veggies. So no meats, no sweets, and no treats. But remember, we're fasting more for what we're believing God's going to do than what we're fasting from. It's more about what we're fasting for than what we're fasting from. And what we're fasting for is breakthrough. And we all need breakthrough in some area of our lives. Every one of us in this room has a weakness, an issue, a problem, an obstacle that we just need God to come through on our behalf. And we're fasting to walk in greater blessing, more peace, more joy, more obedience, more hope this year than ever before. Remember, if it's your best year spiritually, it'll be the best year of your life. And so I'm believing these next 3 weeks are going to be powerful time. You're going to want to be at the prayer meetings. Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock. We're seeking God together. Be a great time to start that if you haven't yet. Well, also over the next 3 weeks, we're starting a short series called Hunger and Thirst. Pretty appropriate for the Daniel fast, right? Hunger and thirst. And we all know what it is to be hungry and to be thirsty. Our bodies are wired every day. We need food and water. And there's times throughout the day that we get hungry, we get thirsty. Sometimes we even get hangry. Anybody get hangry? You're so hungry you get a little bit upset, a little bit angry. Why don't you turn to the person next to you and tell them, what time of day do you get most hungry? Is it first thing in the morning? Is it, I don't know, middle of the afternoon? Is it the midnight kind of munchies, the go into the fridge in the middle of the night? For me, I can tell you, it's about an hour before dinner. I just come home from work. I want to eat everything in the house. Anybody else, it's like right before dinners when you're so hungry. Yeah, me too. And then I got a house full of people that can get hangry. I got 3 teenage boys that, they eat 2 dinners. They eat the dinner with me and Cara, and then they eat a whole nother dinner at night. Anybody got teenage boys? You know what that's like. You're just eating all the time. And then don't get me started on Cara. Man, she can get hangry, that girl. Hey, man, you got to watch out. You got to feed her, keep her happy. So anyway, we all know what it is to be hungry and thirsty physically every day. It's a reality. But what about spiritually? Do we hunger and thirst for the things of God? Do you find yourself craving presence with God, craving His word, hungering and thirsting for more of Him in your everyday life? I think for a lot of us, this may not be our daily reality. We kind of we wing it, we get on autopilot, we get busy, we get caught up in other things. We get our church in sometimes, but we don't have that daily, deep drive and craving for more of God. Here's what the reason behind this fast really is we want to turn our physical cravings into spiritual cravings. And every single time you start feeling yourself get hungry, or you're missing that frappa whatever thing from Starbucks that you get, and you're just doing water or whatever, you just let that remind you, oh man, my body is wired to crave food, but my soul is wired to crave God. And sometimes when we cover up our spiritual cravings with physical cravings, we can miss out on what God said, what God has for us. Here's what Jesus says in Matthew chapter 5, verse 6, his first message, the Sermon on the Mount, the Beatitudes. He says, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled." When you hunger for God, when you thirst for more of him, for the things of God, he says, I promise, I'm going to fill you with the stuff that really matters. So again, what keeps us from that? What's the block? What keeps us from living in that way where we're hungering and thirsting for God every single day? Well, I think there's probably a lot of things. Like, I mentioned a couple. We get busy, we get caught up in stuff. I think our consumer mentality, we just kind of band-aid and cover over some of our deeper needs with material things. I mean, there's probably a lot of different reasons we struggle to hunger and thirst for the things of God, but probably at the top of the list is pride. It's pride. We want certain things to happen in certain ways. We have personal preferences on the why and the when and the what and the how of our lives. And when things don't go how we think they should go, you know what happens? Our flesh takes over and creates distance between us and God. And we start medicating or looking for comfort in all kinds of other places to cover up our deep desires. And we fail to see what God really has. We fail to be obedient and walk in his blessing. That's what we learn from a man by the name of Naaman in the Old Testament. That's what I want to take you to today. 2 Kings chapter 5. I love this story. There's a lot for us to learn about Naaman and what can keep us from God. And then flip side, what can draw us closer to God. And so we're going to tell his story today. 2 Kings chapter 5, verse number 1. Now Naaman was commander of the army of the king of Aram. He was a great man in the sight of his master and highly regarded, because through him the Lord had given victory to Aram. He was a valiant soldier, but how many know there's a lot of buts in life? Be a lot of things good, but he had leprosy. So here's what we know about Naaman. Naaman is, he's got a lot going on in his life. He's got a lot going for him. He's kind of got it all together. He's a man's man. He's a guy's guy. He's probably on the cover of whatever magazines they got going on back then. I mean, he is a stud. And everybody knows about this guy. I mean, he's popular. Everybody knows he's kind of the man in Aram. He's got a lot going for him in life, but he has leprosy. That's a pretty big but. I mean, we all know there'd be a lot of really good things going on in our life, but man, if there's something bad going on in our life, it casts a dark cloud over everything else. It's a pretty big dark cloud. I mean, leprosy was a nasty disease. It still is. I mean, it's a nasty disease. You get sores all over your body, and you become an outcast in society. And I think probably maybe it's his early stages for Naaman. He's like, what is happening? What's going on? And instead of counting his blessings, I'm a mighty warrior, I'm a great man, I'm pretty popular, I'm a cover of magazines, I'm the leader of the army, all this kind. He's not counting his blessings. He's freaking out. He's desperate because he knows if word gets out, he's got this disease, he's going to lose everything. He's going to be an outcast. Again, one bad thing in your life casts a dark cloud over all the other good things that are going on in your life. So Naaman, he's got a lot going for him, but he has leprosy, and we're all familiar with the buts of life. I love college, but my roommate is weird. I met this great guy, but he still lives with his parents, and I don't know about that. I mean, and he's an Eagles fan. That's like doubly worse. There's a couple big butts right there. Not good. I don't know what to do about that, right? Dad's not going to like it. 2023, great year for our business, but our son is struggling with addiction. Shades your whole year. Seems like a great opportunity, but my wife's not on board. I don't know what to do. I'm trying to trust God, but the money's just not there. Just got back on our feet, but the doctor just said it's cancer. There's a lot of buts that happen in our lives that shade our perspective, that cast a dark cloud over everything else that's going on that's good. Maybe some of you are living in one of those buts right now, and it's the last thing you think about when you go to bed. It's the first thing you think about when you wake up. It's the burden that you carry, and it doesn't matter how many other great things are going on. All you can think about is this thing. Some of you, there's going to be a but in this year that you didn't see coming, and maybe this will be a message that can prepare your heart for how to walk through that kind of season. There's all kinds of buts in life. I wonder what yours might be. What's the but in your life right now that's standing in the way of your breakthrough? Here's the deal. There's always going to be a but in life that causes us to be dependent on God. That's the thing. As long as we're in this fallen world, as long as we're in this flesh and we're walking this earth, this is a fallen place. There's going to be things that happen to us that don't make any sense, that aren't even of our doing, that happen in life that we've got to walk through. Because guess what? This isn't heaven. Heaven is coming. God is preparing a place for us, but this isn't it. And so in the meantime, there's a but after another, one but after another. As soon as you get through one but season, there's another but season waiting for you on the other side. We're wired every day to depend on God. Just like our bodies are wired for food and water, we've got to have it every day. In the same way, we are wired for relationship and to be dependent on God. The good news is God knows what you need in your but season. He knows how to provide. And oftentimes, the provision is in motion before you even realize there's a problem. That's how good God is. And that's what we see in the life of Naaman. Let's pick it up in verse 2. Now, bands of raiders from Aram had gone out and taken captive a young girl from Israel, and she served Naaman's wife. She said to her mistress, "If only my master would see the prophet." Who's the prophet? The man of God in Israel at that time was the prophet Elisha. He came after Elijah, did twice as many miracles as Elijah. This was a man who was known to do miracles in the name of the Lord. You can read about him all through this portion of Scripture. And so he was known as a man of God who could do miracles. If only my master would see the prophet who was in Samaria, he would cure him of leprosy. You keep reading and you see that word gets to Naaman about this, and Naaman gets excited. He goes to his king, the king of Aram. He gets permission to take a trip to Israel to see this prophet, to see this man of God. He packs all of his belongings, and the king of Aram even says, "I'll send a letter ahead of you to the king of Israel. Go, by all means. We need you well. I need you well. So get on out of here and go find your healing." And so Naaman packs a bunch of stuff together, gets some money together, and he goes on this trip to Israel. And you got to think, man, there's a little bit of hope. How many of you in the but season of your life, when it seems like there's this massive dark cloud, you've tried everything, you don't know what to do, there doesn't seem to be any answers, but all of a sudden there's a solution that comes along and this might work. A doctor gives a favorable report. Maybe there's an opportunity and you apply for that job. Whatever, like you get a little glimmer of hope that things could change, and man, all of a sudden, you're like, oh man, maybe this is it. Maybe this is the breakthrough. Maybe this is the time. Maybe this is the year. And as Naaman is going to Israel, you got to think he's rehearsing in his mind how this is going to go. And he's getting excited. I'm going to go. They're going to throw a party for me because I'm a big deal back in my home country of Aram, and I'm going to roll up into Israel. They're going to roll out the red carpet for me, and it's going to be amazing. They're going to sing songs, and Elisha's going to come out. He's going to give me a big hug. He's going to wave his hand over me. He's going to heal me. I'm going to go home, and it's going to be awesome. And he's playing this out. He's already got it figured out how it's going to go. So he gets there. Elisha says, hey, when Naaman arrives in town, tell him to come on over to the house. And so that word gets to Naaman, and he rolls up on Elisha's house, goes to the door, knocks 3 times, brought a housewarming gift. This is going to be a good moment. Elisha doesn't even go to the door to meet him. Doesn't even move from where he's at. He sends a messenger to Naaman, and let's pick it up in verse 10. Elisha sent a messenger to say to him, "Go wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan, and your flesh will be restored, and you will be cleansed." Elisha didn't come see him. There's no party. They didn't roll out the red carpet. He sent a servant. He sent a messenger. He sent someone down to open the door and greet him, to give him the message, go dip in the muddy Jordan River. It's going to be fine. Okay. But verse 11, Naaman went away angry and said, I thought he would surely come out to me and stand and call on the name of the Lord his God, wave his hand over the spot and cure me of my leprosy. Are not Abana and Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all of these waters of Israel? Now he's getting a little attitude about him, right? Couldn't I wash in them and be cleansed? So he turned and went off in rage. Seems simple, right? Go dip 7 times in the Jordan, it's gonna be fine. Yeah, I know the waters back home are much cleaner. Why'd you come all this way to dip in muddy waters when you got clean waters back home? Yeah, I know. You probably will look silly bobbing up and down like a little turtle in the Jordan River. You know, all people watching, what is that guy doing, bobbing up and down all these times? Yeah, you got a reputation to uphold. You're a big deal back home. You're the commander of the army. You're a dude's dude, a guy's guy. And you might look a little undignified. You might look a little silly bobbing up and down in the Jordan River. But what do you have to lose? After all, you got leprosy. You don't have any other solutions to the problem. You've come all this way. Might as well try it. But Naaman does not like this solution. He is way too big a deal for this little religious ritual or whatever this man of God is telling him to do. He expected the VIP treatment. Don't you know who I am? Has word not gotten to you what a big deal I am back home? You ever started a new job and felt like you got to reestablish your reputation all over again? Don't they know what I did back at my other job? Don't they know what I did, how I served back at my other church? And here it seems like no one seems to know who I am or what I'm capable of. And Naaman's got a big head about him. And he's like, come on, don't you know who I am? Where's the red carpet? How come the man of God didn't come out to greet me? How come it's you at the door telling me to go get in the river? Are you punking me? Is this real? Is there a camera on me right now? What's going on, right? I mean, he is beside himself, upset, because this is not meeting his expectations of how the breakthrough was going to come. This is not meeting his expectations of how God was going to work in his life. I mean, after all, I took a step. I came out here on the word of this servant girl. I made this big trip, and this is what you're telling me to do? Get in the water? We all want the breakthrough, but a lot of times we don't want to get wet. We want the miracle, but we don't want to be inconvenienced. We want to walk in blessing, but we don't want to have to give up our way of life. We get desperate. We say we'll do whatever, but when push comes to shove, the truth of the matter is, we got a little pride, we got a little too much dignity. We're not willing to humble ourselves and walk in what God tells us to do to receive the breakthrough. We want to get the breakthrough, but we don't want to ask for help. We want a better marriage, but we don't want to go to counseling. I want my money to be blessed. I want the provision, but I don't want to honor God with the tithe. Do you know how much 10% is? I don't want to do that, right? We want all of these things. I want to get connected and know. I want to be known at that church, but I don't want to join a small group or get on a team. You know what? It just doesn't work that way. You can't do it your way and expect God's results. It's what we're learning from Naaman. We can't do it our way and expect God to just come in and bless. So Naaman walks away angry. He turns away in a rage. He's so full of himself. He had such expectations for how this was going to play out. And God did not meet his expectations. And now he's feeling humiliated. Now not only does he have this disease going on his skin, but he is feeling demoralized, humiliated, let down, frustrated. And he nearly walks away and misses the miracle altogether. He said, I thought I would come and you would wave your magic wand over me and we would get this taken care of quickly, discreetly, and privately. And he gets mad and he walks away. And those are the magic words, I thought. How many times is this us? I thought it would go this way. I thought God would do that. I thought after wrestling with it all those weeks, if I finally walked down to the front to be prayed over, it would happen the first time. I thought if I raised my hand and said yes to Jesus, everything would be okay in my life and all of the people that I've hurt would magically forgive what I've done and we would live happily ever after. I thought if I started giving that right away I would get the check in the mail. Isn't that always a story? The check comes in, I went to the mail, ain't no check there. I thought I'd be further along in life than this. I thought the business would have taken off by now. I thought I would have been married by now. I thought we would have had kids by now. I thought she would forgive me. I thought they would have given me the promotion. I just thought it was all going to work out differently than this. I thought. And when we have our expectations go unmet with others or especially with God, what can happen is in that disappointment, in that feeling of rejection, we feel like God has rejected us. God hasn't rejected us. We feel like other people have rejected us. They haven't rejected us. What's happening is our expectations haven't been met. We thought it would go one way, and it did not go that way in the way, the timing, whatever. And so our flesh can begin to take over. And we double down on our pride, and we double down on our personal preferences, and we stiff-arm God, and we stiff-arm others. But here's what we need to remember. Breakthrough comes through submission. Breakthrough comes through submission. Again, you can't do it your way and expect God's results. You can't do marriage your way. You can't parent your way. You can't make career decisions your way. You can't handle your money your way and expect God to bless it. We have to submit to His way, His will, His timing, His preferences. Our lives are always brought before Him and say, I don't see it all, but you do. I don't understand why the delay, but I trust that you know what's best. My life is in your hands. We submit our lives to God. I've said it before. So many of us, we say yes to Jesus, and then we spend the rest of our lives trying to wrestle our lives back from Him to retake control when it doesn't work out how and when we want it to. And so what this means to submit to God is you gotta stop following your heart. Don't follow your heart. Follow God. You gotta stop trusting your emotions. Don't trust your emotions, trust God. You can't keep doing it your way. Don't do it your way. Do it God's way. Breakthrough comes through submission. But this is hard. I mean, this is easier said than done. I mean, there could be a lot of people nodding their heads. Yeah, I get that. I understand that principle. But then we walk out into our daily lives, and let me just tell you from personal experience, it is very difficult to trust God with every detail of our lives, to truly submit to Him in everything. And so because it's so difficult to live this out in everyday life, we need other people. And that's number 2. Breakthrough comes from surrounding yourself with people of faith. Breakthrough comes from surrounding yourself with people of faith. Let's pick up the story in verse 13. Naaman's servants went to him and said, "My father, if the prophet had told you to do some great thing, would you not have done it? How much more then when he tells you, wash and be cleansed?" That's good perspective. Hey, Naaman, stop. I know you're mad. Hey, come on. Hey, just stop for a second. Can we talk? Listen, I know you're upset. You came all this way. This didn't go how you thought or how we thought it was going to go. But listen, the fact remains, you've got leprosy. There's no cure for this. We need a miracle. Back home, we need you healthy. We believe there's a lot more for you to do. Why would you walk away? Come on, just listen to what he's saying. Listen to what the man of God told you to do. Just come on. Go do it. Voice of reason. Perspective. Well, there's something in Naaman that triggers and he listens. Verse 14, so he went down and dipped himself in the Jordan 7 times, as the man of God had told him. And his flesh was restored and became like that of a young boy. He had people in his life, servants, by the way, employees, who were risking him getting upset and punishing them in some way by going against what he wanted to do in the moment. But they loved him and believed in him enough to tell him the truth even when he didn't want to hear it. And we need people like that in our lives that will give us perspective, that will tell us the truth, that are full of faith. And they believe in us and they love us, but more importantly, they believe in God and they love him. And we surround ourselves with people of faith. We need that to walk in obedience and submission to the Lord. I can't tell you what a huge thing this has been for me in my life. I mean, I've got great people around me and Cara both. We have great people around us in our lives, and we have for a long time. People full of faith that love us and love God. And if I didn't have those people to give me perspective, I promise you, I would have messed it up along the way somewhere. I would not be standing here right now talking to you. I would have made some decision that would have hurt my family. I would have done something that would have been disobedient to what the Lord was wanting me to do. I would have reacted in emotion. I would have quit when I was supposed to stay, and I would have stayed when I was supposed to quit. I needed people in my life who heard from God and who could tell me the truth, even the hard to hear kind of truth. And it starts with my wife. It starts with Cara. God has given me an incredible woman of God in my life as a partner in life and a partner in ministry. And the best thing about her is that she loves Jesus more than she loves me. And that is a recipe for success in marriage. That means she's trustworthy. I can trust her because I know she hears from God. I know she's not going to do anything that draws her away from God, no matter what. She loves God more than she loves me. Single people in the room, make sure you choose somebody who loves God more than they love you, that they won't compromise their relationship with God to make you happy, because that relationship with God has to come first. If that's not first, everything else will crumble. Married people, if you're struggling in your marriage right now, before you can fix what's going on with each other, you got to fix what's going on between you and God. You got to get straight with God first, because as you get closer to God, you will get closer to your spouse if you're both seeking God. So God has blessed me with somebody, a truth teller, somebody that loves the Lord more than they love me. I've got mentors in my life like Pastor Scott and Jenny, and I've got coaches in my life that I talk to on a regular basis, that I can bring my issues to, that I trust implicitly with my life. I've got faith friends that we've been meeting together for 14 years. We live in different parts of the country, but we get on the phone, we talk, and I trust them with the most intimate details of my life, and they help me to stay accountable, to be a good dad, and to be a good husband, and to be a man of God, and to not get lazy in the spiritual disciplines. And they have been so huge for me over the course of my life, and we've got a great team of people here at the church, and overseers and directors and elders here at the church that support me and Cara and that hold us accountable and that give wisdom and advice. And then friends, we've just got so many people that are people of faith that are in our lives that help us to stay walking in obedience and walking in submission and doing what God has called us to do. It's why the church is so important. It's why you've got to be in church. You've got to get connected. It's why we talk about Growth Track literally every Sunday. We talk about Growth Track and how important it is to get on a group or to get on a team. Not as much for what it does for us, but more for what it does for you, because that's where the relationships are. That's where you're known. That's where you're pastored. That's where accountability happens. That's where the life is in relationship with God's people. You need that. It's so important. In fact, we've got another small group season starting up in 2 weeks. And if you're looking for that kind of community, then I would encourage you, get online. We'll have people in the lobby in a couple of weeks that you can talk to jump in a group that fits you and fits your family. We need other people. Breakthrough comes when we surround ourselves with people of faith. And number 3, breakthrough comes through obedience. Through obedience. Naaman finally listened, and he did what God told him to do. He dipped 7 times in the muddy, nasty Jordan River. You know, isn't it funny how God sometimes uses the messiest parts of our lives to bring about the greatest blessing and the greatest healing and the greatest breakthrough? Naaman could have dipped in the clean waters back home. That's what he said. But God brought him to Israel to dip in the Jordan River, not once, not twice, but 7 times. Why is that significant? 7 in the Bible is a number of perfection. It's a number of completion. So basically what God is saying is, I want you to fully obey me, Naaman. I want you to go all the way. Finish the work. Finish the process. Dip all 7 times. How many times do we just try something once? Well, I tried church once. It's just like I thought it was. I gave once. I tried a small group one time. It was weird. It was awkward. Those people were weird. Yeah, that's a risk we take. People are weird. People are crazy. People are messed up. Listen, we're all human. You might think I'm weird if you came into my home and we had a small group together. I don't know. You might think I'm weird right now. I don't know. But listen, it's messy when you get up close with people. It can be. But it's through the mess that the breakthrough comes. We can't just try something one time and expect it all to work. You know, one of the things that I love the most, that builds my faith the most, is when I watch people walk down for prayer week after week after week after week. They're like, I'm not stopping until I get my healing. I'm not stopping until my breakthrough comes. I'm going to keep seeking God. I'm going to keep showing up. Wednesday night, I'm going to be there at prayer meeting. I come to the altar every Wednesday night. I'm going to wait until my breakthrough comes. I'm going to keep seeking God. I'm going to keep showing up, because we can't try it once. We can't try it for a season. We got to do everything God calls us to do to completion, to finish the work. You got to keep dipping in the water. You want a restored marriage? Keep dipping. You want physical healing? You got to keep dipping. You want to see the financial breakthrough to your business? Show up and keep dipping. You want to get more closer to God? You got to keep dipping. You want to see your adult son or daughter come to faith? Don't stop praying for them. Keep dipping. You want to see the addiction finally be overcome? You got to keep showing up. You got to keep dipping. Keep getting that chip. Keep showing up to that meeting. You got to keep dipping in the water until it's complete, until it's done. You got to obey God every day, the whole way. The Bible says, you hunger and thirst. You keep dipping. You keep submitting your life to me every single day. You hunger and thirst for me, you will be filled. It's the promise of God. I'm believing that for you and for your family. And like we talked about last week, there's the part we play. We got to take that step. We got to get in the group and get on the team and do whatever God is putting on your heart. Whatever it is you need breakthrough, start showing up. Don't stop. Don't let your heart get hard. Don't get cynical. Keep walking down. Keep showing up. Keep seeking God. This year, he says, I will fill you with what matters the most. That's my prayer for you and for your family. It's my prayer for our church. Would you stand with me? I'm going to pray that over you right now. That God would stir our hearts. Wherever we need a breakthrough, we get in the water, we just start dipping. We don't stop until it's done, until it's complete. So Father in heaven, we thank you for your word that encourages us, it convicts us, it stirs us. And as we start this year, there's a whole lot of us in this room that are desperate for something real, something new. We're desperate for a breakthrough of various kinds. Some are sick and tired of being sick and tired. Some have done everything right and the money is still not there. Some are trying to get the stomach and the courage to go a whole nother round of fighting for their marriage. And on one hand, it seems pointless. Some, God, they're just so dry and numb in their spirit and in their soul from something that they've lost or trauma that they've gone through. They need you to break through, God. So, Lord, I pray that we would learn from your word, that we won't get full of ourselves and try to do it in our own, that our flesh won't take over, but that every day we would humble ourselves, that we'd wake up and say, not my will, your will. Not my way, your way. If you're calling me to give that up, if you're calling me to start doing that, I'll do it because I just want to obey what you're telling me to do. And Lord, I pray over the course of the next few weeks, more than even how much we're searching and seeking breakthrough, I pray that the focus of our attention would shift from what we need, the miracle we're asking for, the breakthrough we're seeking. I pray that we would focus just on getting more of you. The giver above the gift. I pray that that would be the desire of our heart and that that would be our focus. We love you and we trust you. I pray for my friends here today. I pray for our church. May this be a year we seek you with our whole heart, with our full heart, that we would grow as a church more than ever to hunger and thirst for righteousness, trusting that you will fill us with all of your goodness, all of your mercy, all of your grace, all of your joy. We'd walk in blessing. I pray that in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining Oaks Church on our YouTube channel. Our prayer is that you were encouraged and your faith was strengthened today.
That's right. And we want to let you know that we would love to connect with you through our online family in our OC Online Facebook group. To do that, you can like our Oaks Church page and click Join Group.
And make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and press the bell for notifications. You'll have access to life-giving sermons and worship that will be a blessing to you and your family.
Yeah, we'd love to have you join us live for our Sunday and Wednesday services. We hope you have a great day today. Thank you for watching, and God bless.